This is The Speaking Show. I'm David Newman, and you're tuned in to the #1 podcast for speakers, consultants, and experts who want to speak more profitably. Welcome, everybody. You are in for a treat. My guest is the one, the only, the amazing Debbie Allen, whose new book is Success is Easy. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Great to be here. Great to share that success is easy. Nobody else said that before, David. I thought it was time somebody actually told the truth.
Well, let's talk about this because I know that, you are a mentor and a coach to all kinds of thought-leading experts, speakers, consultants, authors. You've got online programs, coaching, mentoring, VIP days, all kinds of things. I'm imagining on the front lines of doing the work that you're doing, people are saying, "Oh, Debbie, this is really hard. I don't know how to promote my book. I don't know how to promote my speaking. I don't know how to get more consulting clients. Why is this so hard?" And as I was reading the book, I kind of felt like, okay, this is the anthem. This is what Debbie needs to say to every single client, every single person listening to this show, every single person that hears her speak and hears her on stages, saying, guys, slow down. You're making this harder than it needs to be.
Exactly.
How did this pattern emerge? And talk about the genesis of the ideas in the book.
Well, it took me a year, David, to come up with a book title. You never write a book unless you have a business plan. And my New York agent, who found me on a Google search, because when you're an expert, you're found on Google. She found me years ago, and we've been doing books together. And she says, "About time for you to write another book." And I was like, I don't have a plan together. Why do I want to write another book? My last book, The Highly Paid Expert, had a very specific business plan. It's going to be an event, everything else. But then I felt I really wanted to go write more of a general book to really share some knowledge that was kind of like a collection of everything I've done over the years and stories and my beliefs around things and like tell it like it is, in your face kind of book. I just kept coming up with titles and she kept saying, it's not edgy enough. You have to have edgy titles now. It's not this, it's not that. I got pretty frustrated. I kind of woke up like when you wake up from a dream sometimes, you go, was that a dream? I had Success is Easy because I was in my head thinking, really, I've started every business with no knowledge, very little money, had very little education background, never applied for a job in my life, never gone to college. I have everything I could be broke, right? Some of the most successful entrepreneurs will tell you the same thing. They've had all kinds of challenges, but they still made it. So what was the answer? One is mindset. I think that success is an attitude that, I think the people that really survive and do well, no matter what, are the people that say, like myself, the scrappy little entrepreneur that says, I'm going to do whatever the hell it takes to make something happen. I'm never going to use excuses and bow out and not reach my goal because I love achieving. And as you know, David, now when you reach our level of expertise, it goes beyond what we're doing. Our level of success is like, we can't quit because we're helping people and it's bigger than us now. When I came up with that title, it made sense to me. Like nobody said that. And it's about time somebody told the truth about success. Get rid of those old belief systems.
Well, let's talk about that. The subtitle, of course, is Reality Stretching. And that's where I want to go next. Reality Stretching, No Nonsense Strategies, and Shameless Advice, which also speaks back to your shameless self-promoter body of work. Advice to overcome obstacles and achieve success on your own terms. Let's talk about stretching reality. How do we stretch reality where we say, I want to have a $500,000 business and maybe you've never even had a $100,000 business yet. How do we go from stretching and believing and reaffirming as opposed to just being skeptical or cynical or how in the world could I possibly have a $500,000 business? I haven't even cracked six figures yet. And here's Debbie saying, I can have $1 million business. I can have a $5 million business. I just have to change my reality or stretch my reality. How do we overcome that cynicism, negativity, that little voice in our heads to stretch our reality successfully?
You have to surround yourself with people that are making $500,000 or more. You have to learn how they think, how they react, how they respond. They have a very success-driven mindset. And you have to be the sponge and say, I'm not only going to follow what their advice is, I'm going to pay attention to their traits, their habits, how they think. I'm going to align myself in some way. Like we've aligned ourselves with joint venture partners, although, we could look at ourselves as competition, but we don't because we know there's so much business out there. And our best people that help us the most are the people that do the same things we're doing. They become our best partners. That's probably the reality strategy. Is, for example, when I looked at Entrepreneur Magazine, every month I would look at that magazine and I would just drool at those books in the back and go, God, how do you get your book back there? How do you get featured? I had no idea they were even a publishing company then. For a year, I would just look at that magazine and just order books and just think about it. Absolutely no idea of how it would happen. And here it happens, and I'm in the October, November issue, full page, the book's out. I mean, because I'm aligned myself with the right people. I walked into a seminar at the National Speakers Association. Jeffrey Hazlett was doing, Jeffrey, he's a good friend of yours too. And, we align ourselves with Jeffrey. We pay to be in that circle. We're involved in that. You have to invest in yourself. You have to get yourself into those circles and work your way into where people recognize you, and then you get pulled up. And that's always been the case for me. Even before I was really felt like I was deserving of being in those circles, I would find those circles. And once you get into those circles, they're successful people, and successful people always want to help you. That's what they do.
Absolutely. And I love what you're saying because I'm preaching this. And it's funny, this has come up actually in our last couple of episodes that I'm interviewing highly successful, highly accomplished experts like you. One of the first things that comes up is how you invest in your own business, how you invest in other programs, mentorship, joint venture partners, etc. And I think this really underscores the theme that the master is always the student. Right? The moment that we think we're fully baked, the moment we think, oh, listen, I'm Debbie Allen. I don't need to sign up with this guy or go to this event or learn from this guy over here. I'm Debbie Allen, for God's sakes. And I know that's not your attitude.
Yeah, right.
The moment that someone gets that arrogance or complacency is when they start to decline. So I love that you're truly at the top tier of expertise. It just proves that the master is always the student.
Yeah, and there's a whole chapter on that as being a lifelong learner. My youngest client is 25 years old, still in college, and she invested heavily into have Debbie as my mentor. Her business is blowing up. She's speaking nationally everywhere. She's doing everything. She had the right story. She had the puzzle pieces. My oldest client is 89 years old, just won the Guinness Book of World Record for hiking Mount Kilimanjaro. She's still working with me. She's still learning and going to all my classes and being a client of mine because she knows that she needs to make awareness for her cause. And the only reason she climbed Mount Kilimanjaro is for her cause to help children. And so, it doesn't matter what age you are, young, old, whatever, you continually need to learn. And even our clients, as you know, David, they keep inspiring us because we work with some of the best people that are making their name out there. They're speaking their mind. And I think that's another thing about, success is easy. When you speak your mind, you're not worried about is everybody going to love everything you say? Some people are going to challenge my book. Bring it on. Challenge it all you want. Saying, who are you to say success is easy? I've only known it to be hard. Well, let me tell you, I've done it. I've worked hard and I made less money when I worked hard than strategic action, and then when you work strategically and you get aligned with the right people, it starts flowing and opportunities start happening. So it's like redirecting people, like you said. First, it's the reality stretching and then redirecting people. And I think a lot of these beliefs and limited thoughts we have, all the way back from childhood, that it's just crap. We've been lied to, and then we lie to ourselves and it becomes this bad pattern.
Absolutely right. I mean, everything from money issues to accomplishment, shame. Oh, I don't want to look too smart. I don't want to make other people look bad. I don't want to look like I'm showing off. All of those negative messages. So you're absolutely right about that. I'll tell you what I love about the book. There's many things I love about the book. One is that it is a real mix of mindset, skill set, and tool set. So it's the soft stuff and the hard stuff, the things that you need to think about differently and the things you need to do differently. And one of my favorite chapters, and again, it's hard to pick, but I'm going to go with the chapter about asking.
Oh, yeah, that's one
Some of us have a big problem with asking for help, asking for advice, asking for favors, asking for introductions, asking for, hey, I'm looking for a reporter that covers this. I'm looking for a literary agent. I'm looking for, a meeting planner or a conference producer that might be interested in my talk. Talk about this stigma around asking and then some of the gems from the book around how we can get over those asking fears.
Asking was the same thing as self-promotion. When I first started talking about that, a lot of people had stigmas around it. And the same thing, I had no idea about the asking. And I've learned to be like the asking queen, but I am very skillful about how I do it. I make sure that it's a win-win. You don't just go out and just ask. And you also don't just ask. There's people that just ask for advice and then they don't do it. And then that can piss you off too. I call that an ask hole, because the ask goes right into a hole that never gets done, right? And then there's people that just ask for, because they think they should get the information. There's a skill set around it, but there's also that mindset of like, why should I ask? Well, let me tell you, it will dramatically increase your success rate dramatically. You will find out when you become skillful at asking and doing it in the right way and at the right time, how much more you will get. You'll just be shocked. I mean, it amazes me if I had to make a list of the things that I've achieved by asking for help, because how do you think you're going to do it by yourself? I mean, most of your clients, most of my clients, they're solo entrepreneurs. They're doing things by themselves. They can't do it by themselves. They have to ask for help, and they have to do it in a way that it really is a service of somebody else. Like you're asking me to be on this interview, or I ask you to promote my book. Well, I want to promote your stuff too. Naturally, it's like, how can we support each other? And we're the best allies for each other. So it has to make sense. And it's just a truly magical. It's so simple when you learn it. Just get past that little thing. And I would say to some of my clients when they would think about, gee, I have to remember, you've been teaching me to ask more. And I said, yes, let me tell you this. You think about it, you think about me on your shoulder and go, don't make me come over there and kick you in the ass.
Nice. Or like you say in the book, get your ask in gear.
Yes, exactly.
Get your ask in gear. Hey, good looking. Are you currently getting paid to speak? Would you like to ramp that up? We can help. Book a confidential speaker strategy call with our team at doitmarketing.com/call, and let's see what we might do together. The call is free, but the results may be priceless. I'm going to call you out on the carpet here a little bit. You've hidden probably 3 or 4 books inside this one book.
Yeah.
So it's a mindset book, it's a success book, it's a marketing book, it's a sales book, it's a promotion book, it's a book about marketing your expertise and marketing your smarts. So nobody should buy this. Just in case you're listening, even though Debbie packed 4 or 5 books worth of value into the Success is Easy book, don't get it. You're not ready. You're not worthy. You don't deserve all of this great wisdom in the pages of this one book. So just don't buy it.
They want it to be hard. They want to just stay in the hard.
They want to make it hard. Yeah, just go and keep doing your crazy stuff. Okay, let's talk about the marketing foundation, because you say some really, really important things. And it's funny, there's so many gems in here. I think the risk is that people kind of skim over and they don't realize the thought and the care that you put into collating and curating and sequencing each one of these chapters and each one of these nuggets. But you talk about branding, you talk about messaging, you talk about value prop, you talk about specificity. Why is it important for us to get that brand promise right, as opposed to try and cover all our bases and see what comes in the door?
Well, if you don't have that foundation right from the beginning, that brand promise, that value proposition, that thing that makes you an expert, forget it. It's going to be a challenge from there on out. I always say this is the foundation. It's like building a house. And if you are missing, part of the walls, it's going to fall apart. And then you're going to wonder, why is opportunity not coming in? Why is sales not happening? Because you didn't build the foundation right. And that takes time to do. And getting it right versus like, I need to run out there and get a client right away. I need to make, you got to really spend the time. And I think that's the case for your clients and my clients the most, is like, they'll try something, they'll do a little bit of it, and then they'll jump in and think they're going to get business. But as you know, David, you've reinvented yourself many times, and I've reinvented myself. And it's like, you have to take that time to get that really solid, clear foundation of what your value is, who your target market is, what you're bringing to the marketplace, what solutions you bring. And when you're really clear on that, you spend the time doing that, everything else starts coming easily, because you could write an article on it, you could talk on it, anybody can ask you any question on it, and you're truly the expert, and you don't ever think about it. Like, I could be on interviews all day long. You could hit me with any question you got. If it ties into our expertise, either one of us could be like, no question, we got the answer.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Let's move on to goal setting, because I think goal setting is probably one of the most misunderstood yet most often written about. Not only goal setting, but you talk about goal achievement in this book. Do you find that when clients first come to you, very few of them have written specific concrete goals? And part of the process of Success is Easy, well, you got to know what you're shooting for. It's really hard to hit a target that you cannot see, and it's even harder to hit a target that doesn't exist. So talk about some of the goal setting gaps and challenges that you have with your clients and your mentees, and some of the smart ideas in the book around goal setting and goal achievement.
Well, I think that you have to see it, believe it. It has to be part of your vision. I always ask people, where do you see yourself a year from now? And what kind of goals does that look like? What have you achieved? If you can actually see yourself achieving something 1 year from now, what does that look like? How does that feel? Can you own that? Like, you have to really be there and own it, see the vision, know it. And I think once you've done that, you could get there sooner because you're now taking the right steps to get there versus the squirrel syndrome, I call it. It was also in the book, is all these different directions. And you're saying, I'm so busy, I don't have time. Well, you're busy doing all kinds of crazy squirrely things that aren't getting you to your goals and achieving it. So I think you have to, one, be very, very clear on it and be, very directed with your actions. It's one thing about taking action. I don't just talk about taking action. It's taking that very, very strategic action that gets you that very specific goal achievement. Then when you achieve that goal, you have success. Then that feeling is just so awesome. It's not about the money and the things. It's like this feeling that success gives you. And then you want more of it. You go, okay, I want to set another goal. I want to achieve something else.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely it. I think getting in touch with the emotion of achieving the goal. I mean, this is like what all high performance athletes do, right?
Yeah.
Is they've won the race 1,000 times in their mind before someone puts that medal around their neck, and they only had to win the race once in the physical world.
Right. And there's actually a story I tell about a skier where she would actually get to the top of the ski lift and she would, in her mind, go through all of those turns before she went down the hill. And that's how she won so many medals.
Let's talk about the scary part. And you have some very wise advice here about risk and intelligent risk and calculated risk and why risk is such a vital success ingredient. How do you get people to have a little more appetite for risk than they might when they first come to you?
Well, I talk about the worst case, the best case, and the most likely case scenario when you take risks. So if you could think about what's the worst case scenario that can happen, and can I survive from that? And is it worth it? If I took that risk, is it really, really worth it to get to that level? That if I lost everything or whatever, then was it worth it? So maybe it is big enough that you want to say, well, maybe I want to scale that down. Maybe it's so big that you say, well, if I don't take this risk, what if I don't? I won't be where I want to be. This is too big of a goal. But the best case scenario, what's going to happen? Your business is going to blow up. It's going to double in size. And the most likely case scenario is maybe something in the middle. So we have to rate those, when you get good, we have good common business sense. They come naturally for you and I, just come naturally. We don't even know we're doing it. But if people are trying to really learn it, they need to write it down. They need to think about it. They need to really calculate it. When it's calculated and then you make the move, it's not really a big risk. And if it's way too scary, then don't do it. Don't take crazy, outrageous risks. Entrepreneurs that do that and then lose everything. You've got to calculate it. That's really a key.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and you also touched on something which I know you go into deep detail on in chapter 16, which is about decisions and about getting into action. And part of it is deciding to get off the couch and deciding to take intelligent action, even if there's risk involved, even if you're going after a big, hairy, audacious goal. And in that same chapter about decisions, we talk about how to make decisions faster and better and how to get unstuck. And people who are listening, you really need to understand when you're stuck, all you've really done is you've failed to make a decision that you need to make. There's no such thing as stuck in a vacuum. If Debbie gave you the answer, go left here, don't go right. Choose red instead of blue. Pick chocolate instead of vanilla. You'd be unstuck and you'd be eating that chocolate ice cream cone right now. Talk about the power of decisions, even starting with the big macro decision that the book is based on, which is deciding to be successful. But what do you have about decision-making in here that is so vitally important that people have to know?
It's critically important to be successful. You have to make decisions. And I know this is probably true with you too, David. It's you get around somebody and say, you can't even make a littlest decision. Where do you want to go eat, have dinner? And it's oh, I don't care, whatever you want. What why are you leaving it up to somebody else to make decisions for you? If you are an independent, successful entrepreneur, you make your own decisions, you make your own plans, right? And it actually is a lot better because you get your own way. So you learn that decisions are really good for you. And it's like, I'm a really fast decision maker. Like, I can't stand like being in limbo. That drives me nuts because I'm thinking we're wasting time here. So, as far as the teaching that skill, it's like you just have to, make the decisions and trust that. I think some people think I might make the wrong decision or might make a mistake. Well, you're going to make a mistake and you're going to fail, especially when you're new in business. Every new business is dysfunctional. We have to fail, but failing is just a lesson. And even when you make decisions, you make the wrong one, it's okay. You've got to learn the lesson. That's the only way you're going to learn it. Just like a toddler gets up, learning to walk, falls down, gets up again. What if you did that as a child and you never got back up again? You've fallen down and gotten back up so many times. Just make the freaking decision and move on with your life. And if you make a mistake, you just, reroute it. And it's like, you can't hold yourself back because the world is going all around you and there's competition. And if you just make the decision and move on, 5 times out of 10, if you were even a bad decision maker, you're still going to get it right half the time, right?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Well, even making a bad decision is going to get you further ahead because now you've got data and then you can go back and redecide and do something different. It's where we're stuck at the crossroads that people are just languishing, no results, no data, no insight. This is like saying, well, Debbie, I'm not sure if my program will sell. I'm not sure if people would want to buy this kind of book or that kind of book. I'm not sure if I want to get hired as this kind of speaker or that kind of speaker. You're never going to get the data on that by sitting alone in your office staring at the wall. You have to make contact with the enemy, AKA the buyers, AKA your friends. They're not the enemy. They're actually your friends. But people don't decide to pick up the phone. They don't decide to send the email. They don't decide to reach out on LinkedIn. One of the things that I preach, and it ties in directly, brilliantly with your chapter here, go before you're ready. Because a lot of us are ready before we think we're ready. But they don't go, they don't decide, they don't go out and make contact with the marketplace.
Because you're going to hear no's, but you hear some no's, you're going to get that much closer to a yes. And you're going to find out what works, what doesn't work. That conversation and that program, whatever, it doesn't work. Let me switch it. Let me change it up versus sitting around doing nothing. And then you get nowhere. Like you said, you're going to go faster.
What a great episode. Wowza. Tell you what, if you want to ramp up your revenue as an expert who speaks professionally, you should really check out our free online training at doitmarketing.com/webinar. Now, there's a great chapter about marketing and sales, of course, one of my favorites, where you talk about influence very specifically. And there's marketing influence and there's sales influence. If you want a hard topic or what people think is hard versus easy, man, I think you nailed it in that chapter. Talk a little bit about the marketing influence and the sales influence guidance that you've got for folks.
Well, you have to be an influencer in your business. We love marketing, David, because we love being creative. You're really creative with your writing. You're just brilliant about that. But, you probably weren't always that way. You learned what worked and what didn't work. And now you become an influencer in what you do. People read your stuff. And so they don't look and go, God, David sends out a lot of emails. Okay, David sent out an email. Let me read it because it's really cool. He's got some crazy idea around something. You got to just read it, the way you write. You become an influencer. And that's how you've done that in marketing. And I think you either choose you love marketing or sales more. I chose that I liked marketing more because I like the creative part. But then I got really, really good at sales. I think that because marketing does work with sales as well. And so, your marketing is then kind of like your advanced sales process. And then when the sales comes in, it's like the sales process is really small because you become good at marketing. So you have to decide, if you're not as good at sales and you want to say that, don't ever say I'm not good at sales and marketing. Just don't ever say that, period. Just say these are skills I need to improve upon so that I can become an influencer in my market. With sales, I love sales now. One of my favorite class that I teach out of anything is a very small group class where I can teach people how to sell, how to present and sell. Because I know when they leave, they're going to go out and it's a moneymaker. And they can do it being with me for 2 days. And I love that because it took me years to figure that out. Because I was, going around, kind of avoiding it. But it was just a way you have to market yourself. And then at the end, you make an offer. And I really show that sales, the way you influence people in sales is information. It's just education and information. And I think that, both David, you and I, we offer such great services that it's almost like a gift. Like when you make that offer, it's like a gift. The right people that want that information, it is a gift for them that we can support them. and we're the right kind of mentors that will support them and give them exactly what they want. Because there's a lot of people that are out there that call themselves influencers that are unethical. And we know this in our business is they're just scammers trying to sell you and they don't care on the other end. That's not a true influencer because that's somebody who just wants the sales. And that's eventually going to come back to bite you. It's like you're not servicing your clients.
Which brings me to the very next topic, which is about you delivering wow moments. And you've got some really great advice in that chapter about testimonials, making sure your customers are successful, not just happy, not just satisfied, but successful. Some testimonial strategies, how to build your reputation, how to get more referrals because they've had such a wow experience with you. What's the key there? And why do people think that's hard as opposed to the way that you make it easy in the book?
It's simple little things, little details. So always give people more than they expect. So when I do a VIP day with my clients, they come out. It's not a VIP day, it's a VIP experience. I built a guest house in my backyard, a beautiful casita, pick them up at the airport. I spend all of my time with them. There's a little handwritten note with a gift inside of it. There's flowers there. There's little teeny touches. Every little tiny thing I can make it better and better and better. Every little detail, giving them gifts, giving them little extra things. And so, it wows them. They're just like, wow. And what happens is they want it again. They want to come back. They want to refer other people. And it's just little things that you go, how I think about it, David, is like, what would wow me? Like, I've had a lot of experiences working with a lot of people, but it's like, what little details would wow me? Those little personal things that, you took your time with and noticed for them and made someone feel really, really special. Those are the wow moments. And you can do that in simple ways. It doesn't take a lot. What it takes from the very beginning is you making the effort to think about them individually and thinking about what's going to make them feel special.
Yeah, really, really good. And our friend Jay Baer talks about those as talk triggers. So people come to you, right? And they experience this. They go, no, hang on. Debbie put me up in this little cottage. She didn't put me up at the Marriott. She came personally to pick me up. She didn't say, oh yeah, just Uber over to this address. She pulls up to the curb. It's Debbie Allen driving the car. I couldn't believe it. And so all those talkable moments that Jay calls talk triggers, those are the same sorts of things that you call those wow moments, those extras, those things they're not expecting where you're over delivering.
Yeah, and when you do that and you have somebody new that's coming in that doesn't know you, that just got a referral or found your website, you go, hey, talk to some of my clients. They've had experiences with me. And then they give you the talk triggers. You don't even have to even say anything. They just sell me. I'm like, it's super easy. Like they'll tell you what their experience was and it'll be exactly what you want to hear because, they've moved from here to here and that's what they want.
Absolutely right. Well, I've got two final questions for you here as we're wrapping up. The final question is going to be, where do people get more information, Debbie, about you, your programs, the Success is Easy book? But before we get to that, if people were to take one central concept around the whole Success is Easy platform and our whole conversation today, what would you hope that central concept would be?
Is that they would change belief systems. They would discover what belief systems they have that are limiting, they're holding you back, what excuses they're using to not move forward, to invest in themselves, to get to that next level, to be around those high-level people. Because when you know first what those excuses and limitations are, then you can be aware of it and start moving away from that and start aligning yourself with more successful people at higher levels.
Tremendous. All right. How do people get connected and stay connected to more Debbie Allen brilliance and the Success is Easy book and the programs and everything? And we're going to link these up in the show notes right under this episode at thespeakingshow.com. But where can we send people?
Okay, so they want to get the book, so they learn more about that. So you want to go to successiseasybook.com/bonus. So that's going to actually get you to the page where you can buy the book and then come back and get a bunch of bonus gifts like David did for his book, and I supported him with that. So there's like some really cool gifts there. So go to that successiseasybook.com/bonus. Okay, then you're also going to get some videos from me and all kinds of cool stuff. So then the other part is go to debbieallen.com. That's pretty simple, right? I've had that since 1997, right? It's changed a few times. There you can find out about what I do that's similar but different than what David does. My mentoring programs, my events, and online programs, everything that's there, debbieallen.com. So thanks, David.
Debbie, this is so fantastic. Thank you for writing this book. Thank you for being on with us. And it's just an awesome, awesome adventure to watch your global domination unfold. I'm going to give you the highest compliment that I ever get, which is you are someone who uses the exact strategies that you teach in your own business. So we know they work. We know that it's high integrity. We know that you're the real deal because, of course, you're using these same exact success strategies in your own business. And I always tell people, listen, I'm either doing it to you or I'm teaching it to you, and pay attention to both. And I think you're in that same category where you preach only what you practice.
Same with you, David. And I learn from you all the time. So thanks so much. It's been an honor to be with you today.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Speaking Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on iTunes. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thespeakingshow.com. See you next time.